Why does the whole trans discourse seem overblown and inorganic? Is it possible that the whole narrative was designed to cause chaos? No, I think the trans narrative comes from the fact that conservatives have no policy and no platform to run on. So they have to focus on niche social issues because it's literally the only thing they have to talk about, and it's the only thing that energizes their base. If you envision like a fascist as like an ultra-nationalist authoritarian, then the only thing that a fascist needs to talk about are things related to ultra-nationalism. So like tariffing everybody, being highly protectionist, things talking about just the country being the best of the world and we need to get away from everything else. And then talking about how you basically want to be like an emperor or a dictator, right? These are the only two things that the Republican Party basically focuses on. Things like policy and shit, nobody really gives a fuck. What are we talking about? Immigration is a massive issue that energizes the Republican base way more than trans issues. No. The Republican Party doesn't care about immigration or immigration reform or anything to do with immigration. The only thing the Republican Party cares about are pictures at the border if they think that there's like a new caravan coming. That's it. Republicans have no concept of immigration. They don't even know what's wrong with their border right now. They didn't give when Trump killed legislation in the House to fix our border issues. Like, Republicans only care about it as a talking point, and they only care about it when they're like scary pictures of it. But otherwise, Republicans have no desire, no concept of what's going on, no ideas for how to fix anything. Like, it's just, yeah. At Destiny, just admit the House bill just gave more money to process the immigrants. Nothing to stop the number coming over. One, you're permabanned for being factually wrong. And then two, you're factually wrong because the bill allowed the government for the first time to put a cap on people coming over seeking asylum if the numbers were hitting too high of a mark. You don't know that, though, because all you've ever heard are Republicans lie to you and say that the bill basically made it so 5,000 a day could come over, ignoring the fact that there are many days where far over 5,000 come over, and the bill allowed them to cap it at 5,000. So at most, only 5,000 people could do an asylum seek per day, whereas right now, sometimes 10,000 or more will seek it. Yeah, but you heard that. You heard that probably from a centrist candidate, or not a candidate, some centrist pundit or a Republican pundit that said, oh, they wanted 5,000 a day coming over, not realizing that was a cap, not a minimum. I think the whole anti-immigration thing is an innate ethno-nationalism thing, and the reason they focus on illegal immigration is because the social and political climate is not ready for them to be outright with their feelings, so they don't want more racial aliens living in their country. I don't know. Racism and how it manifests and everything in the Republican Party is very interesting. I don't, just from like the broad stuff I see, even from pretty far right commentators, like if I'm thinking of like Daily Wire people, I don't usually see much like outright racial rhetoric. Sometimes I do when it comes to like crime in cities, or people will flirt with kind of like anti-black stuff. But I think it's very telling that when you look into far right racist groups who are like alt-right, like far right in the US, these groups are way more ethnically diverse than they used to be. Which is very funny and very interesting, right? You've got Nick Fuentes doing content with who's that, the black cringe rapper dude? But like your neo-Nazi movements in the United States are incredibly ethnically diverse compared to. But I don't watch a lot of Fox News and I don't listen to OAN. I don't know how big OAN is anymore. I'm not sure. Didn't they just have a meltdown over RNC speakers? So on Twitter, there was a huge meltdown over the Indian wife thing, but I can't tell how much of that. It's really, really hard. It's interesting because I feel like Twitter went from being, this is an appropriate graph. If this is real life, if this line represents the flow of real life, I feel like in like 2010, like social media is like way out here. It's so not representative. And then like as times changed and we hit probably the peak around from like 2018 to 2022, Twitter is like hitting more kind of like Bernie Sanders has to disavow activity on Twitter because like all of his fans and like the Justice Dems and everybody like pulling tweets and having people be big on Twitter and social media and playing Among Us on Twitch is like a really big deal. And now I feel like Twitter is pulling off like sharply from reality. And I don't know if it's because of the bonding situation or if it's because of all of the paid by Russia influencers like Tim Pool and everybody that are giving like all the anti-American standard talking points to try to sow dissent and chaos. I don't know, but I feel like Twitter has become, I don't know if it's like over the past year. I feel like when Elon first bought it, I don't think that it was even bad in Elon's first few months after acquisition, but Twitter just feels very strange. I will say, though, that could also just be because of the political circles that I run in or the people that I fight with, too. Maybe other people's feeds look significantly different than mine. Or Rickety Rocket is just come into the country through the right channels. Too much to ask for, Destiny. I'll say this one time, just as a quick thing, okay? Also, remember, if you are a liberal, okay, conservatives do not care about democracy, all right? They do not engage in good faith. Remember, when a conservative gives an argument, he's playing with it. It's fun. This is a fun activity and a fun action for him. The actual argument, what's being said and the conclusion of said arguments don't actually matter. They play in it and they delight in you trying to grapple with them in some intellectually consistent or rigorous manner. They don't care. It's all a joke to them. None of these people give a about the country, about America, about the structure of the country, or anything else, okay? It's all just a joke or a game to them. This is conservatism 101. In the United States right now, as of now, this is conservatism 101. So the answer, the factual answer that I'll give to you, but it's not going to change your mind or any conservative's mind because you don't care, is the big issue that we have right now with immigration. The huge issue that we have right now is the fact that you can walk up to the border and claim asylum. That's the big issue right now. The reason why it's impossible right now for the government to do anything is because of the laws on the books. If an immigrant comes up to the border and they say, we want to seek asylum, you basically have to cut them a ticket and say, okay, well, here's your hearing. It's in like 2 years because we've got like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million cases backed up right now. The legislation that was originally written by Senator Langford that was proposed in the House that Democrats and Republicans initially were supporting. We're going to increase the amount of funding, increase the amount of judges available for asylum processes, increase some funding for border security, cap potentially the maximum number of asylum seeking per day if it exceeded a certain amount. This was supposed to deal with the asylum seeking problem. But the issue is Donald Trump called up the Republicans, and none of what I'm saying right now is conspiracy. It's all open. We watched Ted Cruz talk about this. Donald Trump basically made a call and said, you guys can't support this. I need the border to remain open until election day because conservatives don't care about the country. They don't care about the health of any of the people here. They only care about holding on to power right now. So the Republicans pulled their support from the bill. Again, we watched Ted Cruz say even before he read it, he didn't support it. And now after he's read it, he definitely doesn't support it, right? But they all pulled their support from the bill because nobody wants to backstab Daddy Trump because Trump will destroy your career, as he's done to multiple politicians in the past. And all Republicans want to talk about when it comes to border security is building the wall and making the wall taller and helping border security. But it doesn't matter right now. You don't need a wall. It's not doing anything because people aren't sneaking into the country. People aren't tearing down the wall. They're not climbing over. They're just going up to a border patrol person and saying like, hey, can I seek asylum? Oh, you have to accept me. Thanks. Give me a ticket. I'm going to go hang out in here while I wait for my case. And then boom, you're done. You can have the most Terminator T-7000, whatever wall you want. It doesn't matter. You're just going to walk up to a border agent and seek asylum. That's the big issue right now. That's why shit is so right now. But yeah. Why is it that all of a sudden over the last decade, we're hearing about the seeking asylum thing? Did something change? Honest question. I don't know, actually. When I was doing my immigration research, I never looked up that question. Maybe I should have. I don't know what changed significantly because it seems like this vulnerability was always open. Maybe just nobody knew about it. Nobody was taking advantage of it. Destiny, if what you're saying is true, then why would anyone illegally cross the border? Wouldn't that be close to 0 people? They could just go to a border crossing. My understanding is that's basically what's happening now. That the reason why the numbers have grown so much and the reason why the apprehension rates have grown so much, like it used to be that I think you'd only catch like 50 or 60% of the people crossing, and that number is in the 90s now. And I think the reason why that number is so high is because I don't think as many people are trying to cross illegally. They just go up and they seek asylum. Let me see if I can find this. It was in research. There are no limits on the number of individuals who may be granted asylum each year, nor are there categorical limitations. Ordinarily, for U.S. immigration policy, we restrict the number of people coming based on certain countries being overrepresented, or we have hard caps. But the asylum process, there is no cap. It's so broken. No, fuck, this wasn't what I was looking for. Like, when people, if you're going to talk to somebody about border stuff, here's one thing, here's a heuristic that I would apply. How do you cap asylum? It's not known actually if you can cap asylum too. That's another challenge. For international law reasons and for U.S. law reasons. Here's a good heuristic when it comes to immigration as well. When somebody wants to talk about issues at the border and they give you one number and they build their entire argument off of one number, they probably don't have a good understanding of anything relating to immigration because all of these numbers are like dependent on other things and they vary for a variety of reasons. So for instance, looking at apprehensions at the border doesn't necessarily give you a good key into what's happening because apprehensions going up could mean that less people are coming in, or apprehensions coming up could mean that just more people are trying to come in, so more apprehended, but there are more people as an absolute value that are coming in, or apprehensions going up, or apprehensions going down, for instance, could mean, so I believe these are the numbers recently. Somebody can fact check me or look this if you want. But I believe like right now, I think that the apprehensions and everything aren't as relevant right now, even as a percentage of the people that they think are crossing Because again, people aren't trying to cross illegally and people aren't being apprehended cross illegally. They just walk up and they claim asylum. So even if those numbers are going down, or because I think right now, I think we're apprehending historically a very, very, very high percentage of the people trying to come over, but it doesn't matter because they just claim asylum. And then you're kind of like, your ignorance on this topic is absurd and you should switch topics. Oh, okay. No, Doy. My bad.